Audiences are always looking for the next surprising romantic comedy. Now, a new filmmaker brings us an edgy and refreshing vision of love and laughs in his new film, Citizenship. Hello, I'm Rebecca Key. Joining me today is writer and director Anthony Nathan Hall. Anthony, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So you're gearing up for your first feature. What is the concept behind Citizenship?
Well, Citizenship is a romantic comedy. It's about Brian, a 30-something-year-old introverted divorcee who has built up the courage for the first time in a couple of years to talk to a real girl. And that lucky lady is Marisol. And she's a foreign exchange teacher here from Mexico on a 6-month work visa. Over the months, they fall madly in love, and they hatch this insane plot to dodge immigration long enough for them to get married and make her a legal citizen. Well, to do that, they got to dodge Agent Peterson. He's this insane immigration agent that is bent on deporting like everyone. So they dodge this guy. They get married. They're both legal. Everything's cool, it seems, until Peterson catches up with them and nullifies their marriage based on a technicality through Arizona state. He doesn't waste any time. He deports Marisol back to Mexico, never to return to the United States. He throws Brian in prison for 5 years for harboring an illegal. It looks like they'll never see each other again. So what he decides to do to get back to her is to give it all up. He surrenders his American citizenship and moves to Mexico to become a Mexican citizen and remarry his wife.
What's the difference between this romantic comedy and all of the others?
I have felt for the longest time that films in this genre, romantic comedy, tend to be similar in plotline to a fault. And for me, it just seems like the same ride over and over again all too often. And right from the get-go, I wanted something different for Citizenship. I wanted something edgier and something more topical, and I wanted the humor to really be present. I also wanted to feel that genuine love was in real danger. I wanted to have two unique people come together from different backgrounds and find true love together, and then literally set the forces of nations against them and watch them go to the ends of the earth for each other, literally. And from the very start, Citizenship did that for me.
What are some of the major themes in the story, and how do they evoke humor?
Well, we follow a tandem journey in the opening of the film, the first half, between Brian and Marisol. And for instance, Brian is convinced by Marisol's practical joking brothers that he needs to physically change his nationality in order to fit into the family better and earn the family's respect and their blessing. And to do that, he needs to brown up, as they put it, and find his inner Mexican. And while he's on that insane quest, Marisol's tiptoeing around on an expired visa. Neither Brian or Marisol are communicating to each other what's going on with the other. So really what we find in the middle of the film and towards the second half is when Brian and Marisol come together, when they're evading the immigration issue, they really ally for the first time as a romantic team. But through these three journeys, distinctly, we have a lot of issues that we cover, like the immigration climate in the U.S., minority identity in America, racial relationships and racial minority situations in America. So it touches on a lot of different themes besides just straight romance, besides just straight comedy. It deals with a lot of things that makes this a poignant film.
Well, these are some hot button issues that you're exploring, Anthony, and yet it's still a romantic comedy. Yeah,
there's a lot of laughs, but I was never interested in laughing at the issues. I just think that would have been too predictable. And what I want to do instead is I want to look at people's perceptions of culture and how most people think that we're so very different from each other. And we do have a lot of interesting differences, but I think Brian really embodies that. He takes that insecurity in us and he runs in the other direction with it. And through his journey of trying to change who he is to earn Marisol's love and respect, he really finds that people of different cultures are really only so different. And that really in the end we're all the same. But I do want to take a serious and humorous look at how people in society today have become a bit alarmist over the headlines. And it happens to all of us. We just get whipped into a frenzy. And I'm not prepared to laugh at the system at all. That's not my point. I think it's important to disarm people with a little bit of humor and encourage them to stand back and look at the issues with a little more of a human eye and to gain a little more perspective.
For Marisol, you created a character who violates immigration law and lies to Brian in order to stay in the country. How is it that we as the audience come to love her?
Well, Marisol, like Brian, she's caught up in her own best intentions. This is a woman who is really a victim of circumstance, but she's gambling it all for love, just like Brian. This is a very different woman than what people might be expecting from the film. This is an extremely intelligent and independent person. She's lived very carefully and very legally, coming to and from the United States, carefully cultivating her opportunities here. This is not a woman who sneaks over the border in turnip trucks. She's very well managed her life up to this point. And it's important to note what she gives up for this gamble. She, just like Brian, very impulsively throws that away because she recognizes the value in finding true love. And she takes some pretty bold risks that I don't think most of us would have the courage to take under normal circumstances, let alone the stakes in this film. But she does pursue it because just like Brian, she realizes that when you find someone that you truly love, you go to the ends of the earth for them, even if that means crossing some borders.
So tell us about these scenes and what leads up to them.
Yeah, these two scenes were selected around the middle of the script, right after the immigration crisis breaks. Now, these two scenes deal with immediate action following immigration revealing that Marisol has been here on a visa. Brian learns about this. He sends her away and then brings her back. And after he brings her back that evening, this is sort of the next morning after the fallout of that encounter. And they're cognitively trying to figure out how they're going to outrun immigration after they've decided emotionally that that's what they're going to do to try and get married and legalize Marisol so they can start their family.
So there's something big in the way of Brian marrying Marisol, correct? What is it they find they need to do in the first scene?
Well, they ultimately decide that what they need to do is hurry up and get married. But there is that obstacle. Technically, Brian is still married. He's suffering this long, drawn-out divorce from his ex-wife, Chaz, who is an incredibly cold and malicious woman. And the solution is he needs to have Chaz sign a stipulation waiver, which will immediately nullify their marriage, so he can then hurry up and marry Marisol and get everything off on the right foot. So Brian's challenge now is to confront his ex-wife and try and convince her to do that, which we see in scene 2 is not going to be as easy as it looks.
Well, it sounds like an amazing project, and I wish you all the best with it. Thank you so much for being here. Click on your DVD menu and watch the two scenes featuring David Banks, Vanessa Alderette, and Yiyi Simkova in Anthony's upcoming romantic comedy, Citizenship. I'm Rebecca Key. Thanks for watching.